What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of This Week in Tracks, where I take you through every single track that came out this past week in MX bikes and do a lap around them so that you can determine whether or not they are worth the download. Firstly, I would like to announce that I am now part of Normsco, which I'm very excited about. And I have also restarted my Instagram. It is Transin_MXB, as you saw on the screen. My Instagram, unfortunately, got, disbanded, abolished, sent to the nether for absolutely no reason a few months back. And I haven't made an account since. But now that I am with the content creation golden boys of MX Bikes, I figured now would be the best time to go ahead and just start fresh. And so I made another Instagram. Go give it a follow. It would mean a lot. Now, starting off this week, we've got MX Training by Gray. The environment on this track is pretty cool. The track flows pretty well. I like the ruts. They're not too bad. A lot of options. All of the ruts don't, no ruts lead you off the track. It kind of flows pretty well. Like it's a general, I would say, good track if you're a beginner to medium player. And honestly, even if you're a faster player too, it's really not too bad. And it's kind of nice vibe, foresty. Textures look cool. Banners on the side of the track. We love the attention to detail. And not much else to say. Cool track. I feel like I am finally starting to get used to the new OEMs and how they feel. Whether you want to call it like an increase in traction and a decrease in traction at the same time. They're definitely weird to get used to, but I feel like I'm kind of starting to get my flow with them. As you can tell throughout the video, there's going to be plenty of times where I get sketchy and lose traction and do all that, but I feel like there's some good that comes with the bad, and I'm 50-50 on them now. I feel like I did absolutely hate them at first, but now they're growing on me a little bit. I wouldn't say I'm still completely sold, but they're definitely growing on me a little bit. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on the new OEMs. Do you think they're feeling good? You liking them so far, or have you been playing significantly less since they came out because you're not a big fan? Let me know. All right, the second track here coming out this week, SMK Veranamo by PS. This one is an interesting one. It feels very creative, and it feels kind of like backyard creative. You know what I mean? A lot of grown over grass. The lines aren't super defined. Like, it's not like there's thin ruts where you can tell people have been riding it. It's kind of just wide berms, options, some options that don't even feel like options. They're just kind of there. Some pretty big booters, which are very fun. And yeah, I'm not sure how many tracks PS has made, but I think this one's, it's pretty solid. It's fun to spin laps on. It has some nice attention to detail. The scaling of everything feels pretty good, and you can just hold it wicked around the berms, which is honestly always a nice change of pace in comparison to a lot of the tracks that I feel like we get in the current state of MX bikes. The third track this week, I have to admit I was very excited about. Summit Raceway by Eagle. I saw the photos that were posted on the MXB Mods website, and I was like, wow, this track looks like it's going to be insane. And to be fair, it is insane. The elevation change, the roughness, the ruts. I feel like this track would have been a lot better on the old OEMs. And I don't know if maybe that's what he made it for, but the main issue, honestly, that I have with this track is only because of the new OEMs. There's a lot of, whoops, roughness that are like going around corners, And unfortunately, with the new OEMs, if you're like even the slightest bit sideways going over, a braking bump or a roller, that rear end is just washing out immediately, which unfortunately for this track makes it not very fun to spin laps on. So as beautiful as it is, I think the layout is super fun. It kind of has like MX versus ATV, vibes, and I feel like this has potential to be fun. Maybe just like smooth it out like 50%, you know? Or maybe just take the roughness away from the parts of the track that are turning. I don't know. That could just be me. I could just be, you know, being a baby about it. But this track is super cool. The layout is super cool. I just think it doesn't really work too well with the way and the physics that these new OEMs have. So that's my thought on this one. It's definitely challenging. I would suggest maybe giving it a shot if you're up for a challenge. But either way, I think that the creativity and everything on this track is awesome. So bravo, well done on that. And I honestly look forward to seeing what he creates next, because I think this track had a lot of potential. It just didn't quite hit home, I think, because of the bikes. The final free track of the week here, SSW Ranch by MX Parada. I feel like he's made quite a few tracks. I remember seeing his name when I used to just make like the little YouTube videos of a lap around certain places, and I think he's made some cool tracks in the past, and honestly this one's no exception. A lot of the ruts feel pretty decent. There's some that are a little shallow that you know, are a little weird with the new OEMs, but for the most part there's plenty of line choice. The track flows pretty decently well, and it just has a nice sort of good quality vibe to it, you know. It is a little odd, you know, with all the options in like the jumps and the corners and the whoops, and there's like definitely some creative lines that you can take. But overall, especially for a free download, I think this track is really, really cool. So for, like I said, especially for a free download, I think that the quality of this track, honestly, is pretty close to some of the ones that you're paying $1.50 for. So the fact that it's free, I think that this might honestly be the track that I would recommend the most this week out of the free tracks. So definitely well done to Mr. Parada. This track is fun, and yeah, I'll definitely be spinning some laps on this one. Kicking us off with the paid tracks this week, we've got the 2024 Oceana MXB Series Round 10 MX Farm by Bishop. This track partially has the same issue that I had with Summit. It's got a lot of roughness in the corners, which does not agree with these OEMs at all. But I will say kind of the saving grace of this track is there are kind of some straight lines that you can hit, if that makes sense, and some smoother areas that you can kind of get creative and find that make the track flow pretty decently well. I think the track itself is beautiful. The corners flow pretty well. The ruts are nice. You can hit everything with no issue whatsoever. And like I said, it does have some cool lines and creativity that you can kind of introduce to the track to make it flow and have some more fun around it. And you know, I said, I think in a previous video that I wasn't a big fan of the Oceana tracks thus far, but this one's pretty solid. Again, I'm not sure for the $1.50 range. I mean, it does have very good quality. I mean, it's a beautiful track. But yeah, I don't know, man. We've got a lot of banger tracks that seem to be coming out for free lately here in MX Bikes. So again, this track does potentially have a discount tagged along with it if you decide to get the season pass. I would say though, the difficulty of this track is it's definitely higher than a lot of the free tracks, so keep that in mind, especially if you're going to be paying for it. But with all that being said, I did have a good time spinning some laps on this track, so I wouldn't consider it a lose. It's still definitely a good track. Australian SX Round 2, Wollongong by Erax 212. This track is a vibe. It's really fun. I think it agrees with the new OEMs quite well. There are some challenging jumps and corners. I think I saw a reproduct video the other day. It does have like everything that you would need, I think, in order to kind of practice these new OEMs. It's got the flat corners. It's got the jumps coming out of the corners. You know, whoops, some bigger lines, some smaller lines to practice timing. Yeah, it's a solid track. The environment's beautiful. The textures are great. The scaling is great. The berms, the corners, it all feels really fun. Honestly, this is a really good Supercross track, and I think is completely worth it. So, great job to Erax or Eric. Sorry if I said your name wrong. I'm definitely looking forward to the coming rounds of this series. Another one coming in at the $1.50 range, we've got Whiptown USA by Checkers 448. This track is an absolute vibe and a half. The scaling of everything feels really good. The jumps aren't super challenging, but you can still get pretty schnasty off of things. The flow of the track is pretty fun. It's kind of like a Hangtown remix, and yeah, man, I don't know. Everything about this track, getting a little sketchy there, don't mind that. Everything about this track is just solid. Like, there's nothing that I could really pick out of it that is like, oh, I have an issue with this. It flows well, the jumps are sick, the environment is cool. I really like this color of dirt. It's easy on the eyes, if that makes sense. There's some that are a little too bright, which I know I've mentioned previously. This one, I feel like I could spin laps on this track all day. So bravo, Mr. Checkers. This is an exceptional track, and it is a blast to go and spin laps on. So if you're somebody that partakes in spending money on MX bikes, I would say that this is definitely a track that should be on your list to cop and enjoy.
Alright, welcome to the Scrapyard.
By BC Creative, of course. This is a compound. It is $3 on the MX Bike Shop. Comes with the two tracks, a Supercross track and a motocross track. From what I have read, I believe this track is 3D scanned in. The Supercross track scaling feels a little small at first, especially in comparison to everything else. But once you start spinning laps on it, it is actually pretty vibey. It is fun. So even though the jumps are a little bit smaller, it does have a technical aspect to it that I think makes it, I don't know, almost like it makes it like you zone out and can just spin laps on it for a long time. So yeah, it's a vibe. And a final reminder for you here, if you're still here, thank you so much. Go follow me on Instagram at transcend_MXB to see some banger photos and some more short form content. I would appreciate it. Like I said, new account, so trying to get the follower count back up and get some more lovely people in there to check out the awesome content that myself and the Normsco boys are working so hard on. Final track here of the week, we have the motocross track on this Scrapyard compound by BC Creative. This track is very fun. I mean, it's got that desert vibe to it, so it's easy on the eyes. It's got a little bit of roughness, but not really. Not anything crazy, not anything that's like hard or challenging at all. It honestly, it kind of reminds me of... Oh man, I can't remember the name. It is Widowmaker. Widowmaker is the name I was looking for. Had to go look in-game. But not in like a direct relation type of way, more in like a distant cousin type of way. It has some of the same tendencies and same characteristics. The flow of the track reminds me of that, that's why, which honestly is a vibe. So Nothing wrong with that. This track has some really fun jumps, some really fun sections, some lines that you can lead together for some pretty sick clips. So I will definitely be shredding this track with the boys, getting some gnarly, I don't know, Instagram clips. Maybe we'll make an edit on it. I'm not sure. But it is a little bit steep. $3. Man, I don't know if the $3 is a fair price tag. I mean, it's 2 tracks. So technically, if you're paying $3 for 2 tracks, it makes sense. But I don't know that I would consider the Supercross track on the same level as, say, the earlier track in this video, the Australian SX track, which is also $1.50. So I don't know that I would technically say that you're getting 2 tracks at $1.50 a piece. It's more like you're paying $2.50 for this outdoor track and 50 cents for the Supercross track. Which, I don't know, nothing against BC Creative. This track is obviously really dope. But yeah, the price tag is definitely a little steep. So I don't know, maybe he spent some time on this track and spent a lot of time on it. It's definitely a vibe, but yeah, the price tag is a little steep. So if you've got the $3 to spare, then this track is worth the purchase because the outdoor track is a vibe. But yeah, that is pretty much gonna do it for me this week. I appreciate you guys hanging out and checking out the video, hearing my sometimes stupid thoughts on the tracks and how I've thought about them while I'm spinning laps. And yeah, if you enjoy these types of videos, be sure to keep hanging around. Leave me a comment. Let me know if there's, you know, a specific part of any of the tracks that you want me to review. You know, maybe it's something I'm not touching on, like, I don't know, like the skybox or something. Maybe that's super important to you. Don't know. But yeah, if there's anything like that, feel free to let me know in the comments. Any criticism is welcome. You're not going to hurt my feelings. So, but that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll catch you in the next one.